streaming that live on Facebook. I don't know how many people here are. It's like always a
It's all
couple of
good.
them, right? There's some here. Gene is here. Ben is here. Daryl is there. Well, let's see who else is there. Jean is ever here, always here. Like she never skips a call. I love that about Jean, right? So, and welcome, guys, to our Thursday call of the Land Pilot. And I'm super excited today because I met this young gentleman a couple of weeks back on a conference that RJ Sharma did, and he got awarded, I think, was the 100K award, right? Like, and I
Yeah.
said,
Yep.
and then he started talking about what he's doing in business, and I said, you know what, this is something we need to bring out to the world, and I want to talk about that. And I also want to get your insight because you just do that for 18 months right now and you're super successful. You have 100 grand months, right? Like, that's absolutely incredible. And I say hello, Josh Pierce. How are you, my friend?
Man, I am doing well. I appreciate you bringing me on. I'm really excited to share kind of what's worked for me. Like I see the 100K actually award back there and a couple other awards that I've kind of gotten in the first year and don't really want to talk about that, but I'm really excited to share how I was able to do that, right? Coming in with the mindset of scaling and operations and that kind of thing.
Man, that's great. Like, but let's start a little bit with your origination story. Like, who is Josh Pierce? Like, and how did he get into the land industry? Right?
Oh
Like
man.
that's what everybody wants to
That,
know, right?
that's a funny story. So, well, just to share, just to start, I'm 36 years old. So this isn't my first career. It's not even my second career. In a past life, I was actually in federal law enforcement. For 7 years out of college, I was a federal probation officer, and I thought that was the dream. I thought that was, I was going to retire a chief federal PO, and throughout that journey, I started to crave something more. I started to feel like there was maybe something more out there for me than punching the clock and kind of chasing after the corporate promotion kind of thing. And ultimately, I left that to build an online fitness coaching business. And I did that for 5 years and left that actually in June, it'll be 2 years that I left that and walked away from it. I just got to a place where, again, I was craving something more. I wanted to sell a higher ticket widget. I didn't feel like the juice was quite worth the squeeze. And, I walked away from that and I found myself wondering, what is next for me? What's next? I'm ready to build. I love building. And I hit up a good friend of mine who, gosh, 8, 9 years ago was wholesaling houses with great success and still does it. And I was like, all right, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Where do I start? And he's like, man, let me tell you, if I could start over right now, I'd look at land. And I was like, land, what do you mean? He's like, well, let me tell you, there's way less people doing it. And, people aren't attached to their land like they are their house. And the margins are nice. And I was like, all right, say less. And I started following the thread and I found a few people to follow. Jumped in a program right away to learn. And I'm always a fan of investing in mentorship. I never try to figure it out on my own. Jumped into a mentorship
Who
right
was that?
away.
Who did you get? Who was the first coach you follow?
Jack Bosch was the first one.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Me
Yep. So,
too. Like, brother, like Gene is laughing. I think we have a bunch of
yep.
Jake Bosch people here, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I joined Jack Bosch's program and did the 6 week accelerator. And after that, I found myself into Sumner Healy's Discord community. And I don't know if you know Land Investor Accelerator with Sumner Healy. And I just felt like I had found my people in that community. I mean, like I said, I'm 36. There's a lot of young guys in there, and I just felt like I found the space that I was supposed to be in. And I jumped in. I jumped in and I invested in a year-long mentorship with them and just dove in full like both feet at the same time, didn't hold back. I was going all in on it. I wasn't working a full-time job on the side. Like this was the thing and I wasn't making money and I had my back against the wall and said, "All right, I got to do it." So that's kind of how I started. And that was November of 2023.
Tell us what happened since then, because I know your whole life got like transformed, right? Like,
Yeah,
tell.
so it was interesting. I came into the space and, I think a lot of people do it where they work their full-time job and then they try to do this on the side until they can get it to a space where it can support them fully. And, I was in a space where my fiance was like, she was able to support us and I didn't need to work additional to this. So I could go all in and commit to this full time. So I was doing the 40-hour, 40, 50-hour a week thing right out of the gate. And because it wasn't my first business that I had worked on, I knew some things. I knew that I was going to need some help. I knew I was going to need at least an assistant. So before I even, well, actually, not before I sent my first letters, I do blind offer letters. So I did my first round of mail prep and cleaning up that data. I did it one time, and I said, I need to hire someone to do this because I do not want to do this again. And I found someone, and I hired her, and I was like, look, I know one thing that I'm going to have you do. I just got started, to be honest, and I'd like you for about 20 hours a week. I'd love to scale that to about 40 hours a week over the next 90 days. But I really don't know what your days are going to look like. But if you will just trust that, I'll build the systems as we go and I'll pass things off to you. If you just trust that we'll get you there and I'll take care of you, I'd love to have you. And she said, Josh, let's do it. And I jumped in before, like we sent our first round of mailers out. I'd never talked to a seller and I made my first hire. It was an overseas VA. And I was paying her out of my pocket because of course it didn't, I wasn't making money at the time. And that's how it got started. And, I jumped in. I was like a lot of people kind of slow play it, and I wanted to just hit the gas pedal. And, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? I'm wanting to spend money that I don't have, float the business on my credit card out of the gate, things like that, may, looking back, maybe a little bit reckless, but I saw it as, I know where I want to go. I see this as the ticket to, becoming a millionaire, multi-millionaire someday, being able to give my future family the life that I have in mind for them. And I knew that was the path, and I knew that there was no point slow playing it if that was the direction I was going. So jumped in full, went all in right away, and what was it, about 5 months to take my first deal full cycle, and it was a 31K double close, required $0 up front, buy for 100, sell for 150, and I took home 31K, and it got me out of the red right out of the gate. So that was how it
That's
started.
quite impressive. Like $31,000 on your first deal, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a good start. You know how much money I made on my first deal?
Oh gosh, 5K. Did you lose money in your
Gene, you
first
know the
deal?
story, right? You know that it was $0, man. Like it
Broke
was
even, huh?
first of all, I needed a year to do it, right? And the second one is it was three at Jake and Parcels I bought from the same seller. But like I thought you write three contracts for each parcel. I wanted to do it right. And I sold it to the same buyer on three contracts again, and it was in California. And I paid $25,000 in closing costs, and the spread originally was $25,000. So in the end, I owed the title company $65. So I called them up, and they gave me a $66 discount. So I made $1 on my first deal, right? Like this
You
is
didn't lose
this is
money. You can save that
yeah.
dollar, right?
And
Frame
that
that.
was after a year, right? Like it's pretty crazy. That what I like about your story is, you know, you were willing to invest in mentorship. This is the first thing. The second thing is, and this is why you could become so successful like so quickly, is you went in it full time, right? You fully committed
Mhm.
to it. You said, "Hey, I don't
Yeah.
want to get it afloat. I need to make money here." Because you had a clear goal to, right? And this is what people are lacking.
Mhm.
You want to give your family a life, right? Your future family a life, like as a millionaire, like with the financial security and all that. So you jumped into that, and I really love that because it gives you so much drive. And combine them with the amount of hours you spend, you were just ahead of a lot of people in this industry who do that as a side hustle. Because when you spend 40 hours, somebody else can just spend 10, right? You will achieve four times more, or like in a quarter of the time that what they would achieve, right? And this
Mhm.
is I love to always clear that out because I see a lot of people say, hey, why is that guy so successful? And I know you had a second thing coming on. No, one more thing that I wanted to clear out is you really know how to delegate, right? Hey, I did that one time. I need to outsource that, right? And I see a lot of
Yeah.
people struggling with that. And I know that was the last thing you do. You were a high ticket closer before that, right?
Mhm.
So you had
Yeah.
closing skills. So you brought a lot to the table already, right? You were stuck on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to share a little bit about kind of how I think about that. And again,
Yeah,
the
do it, man.
caveat this, it wasn't my first business. So Alex Hormozy says your first business gets you good, your second business gets you rich.
Yeah.
And I believe that. I believe that because I'm experiencing it. And the first business, like I held on to things way longer than I should have before delegating. And I didn't know how to hire, who to hire, when to hire, how to keep people around. Like I fumbled through all of that in the fitness business already. So I knew coming in that I was going to need help. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to need help, why not just bring someone in right away? It's a very, very low cost assistant that can take some of that admin stuff off my plate. There's a book back there on my shelf, the blue one down there, Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And it's a book that absolutely changed my life and how I think about business, how I think about the value that I bring to my own business. And one of my greatest takeaways from that book is really the idea that as a CEO, any time that I spend doing activity in my business that is not CEO level activity is taking away from my ability and time to work on CEO level activity. So what I saw early on was, when, the first few months when a lot of people come in, and you probably see this too, Robin, where people come in and they're like, oh, I hate being on the phones. I just need to hire an acquisitions manager right away. And they haven't even gotten good yet. And how are they going to bring an acquisitions manager in and train them and like manage them when they haven't figured it out themselves? Where I saw it as the sales, the acquisitions is the highest revenue activity in my business. So I wanted to free up all of my time to focus on just talking to sellers and ripping deals all day long. So that's where I saw any time that I was spending that wasn't talking to sellers was time that was taking away from my ability to make deals. So that's how I saw it. It was like I need to free up everything beneath that, or I need to delegate everything beneath that so I can spend my entire workday just talking to sellers. And I did that until I got to the place where I was wearing too many hats and I was getting, too many leads a day where I couldn't really give the sellers the attention they needed. And and then I outsourced that part. So I kind of looked at it from like the front end of the business. I outsourced the marketing and mail prep, the mail prep right away. And then I brought on a VA to help with lead intake. And then I hired the acquisitions manager. What was it? 10 months in. Like I held on to that as long as I could. And
Because
that
you're
brought,
good at it too, right? You had
yeah.
education, you brought that skill to the table, you enjoyed doing it, right? And this is what I really love about that. And yeah, like I agree with you. Like talking to the sellers on the phone, making deals is like the highest revenue activities in most of the companies, right? Like
Mhm.
over the planet, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really good. And I love the quote, like the first business gets you good, second one gets you rich. Um, so you came in this industry and you had no clue what was going on in land, but you transported all your skills. That's like pretty strong, right? What would you say is like the most important one you need in our industry? What's like the one skill you can't live without in land?
Great question. Um, I would say from the past year and a half, what I saw as like the most valuable skill was the ability to see the whole thing as like an operation, as an assembly line. And
Yeah.
when I could see it like that, like I have marketing and acquisitions and dispositions, and in each one there are different steps to it, and in each of those steps there are different levers you can pull. Like seeing it as an assembly line made it not easy, but simple because then I could look and see, okay, we're sending this much mail and getting this many leads, and we're, getting on this many calls and making this many offers. And it just made it really simple to see, okay, which part of the assembly line needs work right now? Where do I need to focus? What's the bottleneck? And then I started looking at the assembly line and optimizing for the bottleneck or the biggest constraint at the time. So being able to see it like that, and that was something where I learned again, banging my head against the wall in the fitness space when I had to create a customer journey. And right, you create content and then people reach out and then they're interested and then you get on a call with them and you do a 2 call close and you bring them into your program and then you have to keep them happy. Like it was, I learned that before. So what I saw coming in was a lot of people would send out marketing and they get calls and then they would wait days to call them back. And it's like, you got to create a process. You've got to give that customer an experience. You've got to take them on a journey and make sure that it's buttoned up from step to step to step. So that's what I do. I mean, I really see it as, and I think that's why we win a lot of deals that other investors lose, is because every step is buttoned up. When they call our answering service, they say, we'll reach out to you in 24 in within the day, and we reach out right away, right? And then they say, acquisition guy has call one, and they say, we'll call you, we'll schedule a call for tomorrow. And they make that call on time, right? So they're boom, boom, boom. They're building trust along the way by following through with the commitments that they make. So it's being able to see your company as an operation, a system with levers that you can pull makes it so much easier, and you're not shooting from the hip.
And I agree with you on that because when you really look at any business, right? Like, I mean, every business is the same, right? You have something that you buy, you add a little bit of value in our case that we bring it in the market oftentimes, right? And then we sell it. That's essentially every business, right? You have
Yeah.
a product like a base product, you add value and then you sell it.
Yeah.
And I think like when you have the ability to really break down your business and really see what's right now the bottleneck and focus on that. This is like an ability a lot of people don't have, right?
Mm.
I had a conversation this morning with somebody, and he was like really struggling finding the right markets and like all of that. And I said, okay, like tell me what's your goal? And like, oh, pretty clear. We were not about that, right? Like, so you had a clear goal. You wanted to know, hey, that's the life I want to give my family. So this is how I need to look at that. And now I focus on one thing at a time to solve it, to make that goal, right? Because the multitasking, and I'm guilty of that too. Like the multitasking doesn't lead you anywhere, right? Like, and when you have the really the ability to look on your business and see what's not working, and then focus on solving that, that's a huge part.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit about sales, like about acquisitions, right? That's how I call that. Let's talk about that. Like, we see that a lot of people are complaining there's so much competition right now, and I can't solve like I can't talk my seller down in price and all that. Like, how do you see that? What do you think is like the best solution for that, or where do you see people lacking in that?
Um, First, I'd love to share my take on that. So when I first came into the space, I joined Sumner's mentorship, and then I saw there's the numbers of people coming in after me. People being added to the Discord community like tens every day, and I was like, "Whoa, did I get into the right industry here? Because this feels like it's getting really saturated." And it didn't take long before I started to realize, and it was like being on Zoom calls with different people and just starting to see kind of what the I guess the competition, what the industry looked like. And I realized, and not to like badmouth anybody else, but it's like I realized it doesn't take much just to stand out, to set yourself apart. So I quickly realized the competition isn't a bad thing. It's just I just need to be better. I just need to be remembered. I need to stay top of mind. Where other people will say, "I'll call you back tomorrow," and then they don't call back for a week. I talked to so many sellers early on that would say, and I always ask, "Well, why did you give me a call?" And they say, "Well, to be honest, I've called three other people, but they never called me back." Like, what? You want to sell your land to them and they never call you back? So I just realized, do what you say you will. Like show up, appear credible, and you're gonna win deals that other people maybe don't even care about. So that was interesting early on. Like I just realized, even getting, seeing, some folks' letters and stuff like that, I was like, okay, I just have to just put a little thought and intentionality into this and add my own flavor to it. And now I'm not competing, I'm kind of operating on my own playing field. So that was kind of how I worked through that intimidation, that imposter syndrome very early on. Um, and then over time, it kind of goes back to that sales process or the acquisitions process. It's, where other people kind of shoot from the hip and don't really have a buttoned up process and don't really do follow-ups. We just figured, let's do that really good. Like, let's crush that. And, now we get people, they sign the contract and they're like, Josh, you know why we chose to work with you? Because you guys did what you say you would. you guys are credible. You guys are trustworthy. You know, like each time you say you're gonna call them at 3 and you don't call them until 4, like you're losing trust. So that was kind of what I did with the competition right out of the gate. And then over time, we've just improved that. We've found, you know, new creative ways to stand out. And one of my favorite ones that we do is how we do discovery on our calls. And I'm in a few, you know, sales communities and stuff like that, and I see a lot of people, they just make it a really transactional conversation. It's super transactional, and they get deals that way. However, they lose a lot of opportunity that way because, you know, they're only catching like the cream off the top, just like the laydowns, the people that they were going to sell their land anyway. Like you just literally had to just not mess up, you know, and they make it a very transactional thing. Hey, I want to buy your land. I can pay you 50 grand. Will you take it or no? Yes, I'll take it. Okay, deal. And they're probably getting a smaller percentage of what they could. What we started to do over time is really hone our we do a 2 call close, hone in that first call as a discovery and really go deep with that discovery, not just find out how much they want for their property, but like why are they selling it? And maybe they say, well, you reached out to me. There's a reason they called. And if you can really spend some time with them, get to know them, go a little bit deeper, had emotional thoughts. You know what? I just want to sell this and take that cash so I can pay off these medical bills and give my family the life that they need and be the husband that I feel like my wife wants me to be. And it's actually so much more than just getting the 50 grand. So if we can go to that place now, that same seller who you, Robin, may have talked to yesterday, who said, I'm not accepting anything less than 70, by us finding out what he really wanted when we offer 50, he's more likely to say, you know what? I wasn't wanting to take less than 70, but 50 sounds good because it would solve my problem today. So
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things is discovery and probing and really finding that emotional space. And what happens is now we're not competing with other investors on price. When it comes to the offer call, it's not, you know, well, oh, I got another investor offering me 62 and you're offering me 60. It's we're coming in on a completely different playing field. The conversation isn't even about price anymore. It's about solving that real problem that they had.
And I love that. You know, I always tell my team, like, the problem is when you get somebody on the phone, they don't like you and they don't trust you. Right. This is like it's just the nature. They don't like you and trust you, right? Like when you have a call or call them back or whatever. Um, and like getting through this boundary. I mean, I always think there's two type of closers, right? There's the ones who just like punch you in the corner and you just say yes because you want to keep you want to get the pain away and don't get another punch. And then there's the conversational closing, right? Like and really building a relationship. Like the relationship is the key to close that. And I think especially in our industry, it's a lot about that. And I think people are like, when I see people starting new in this industry, what they do wrong is they're in a business context and now they look just on the money. But like like every business done between people, right? And when we wouldn't have met on that event, like and just would have spoken on the phone, maybe the relationship would be different. And
Sure.
I can just like tell you like how you engage like after that in the way you engage towards the wordings. He sent me a bunch of text messages, and I just love this guy because of his text messages, right? Because it's like so genuine and so gentle, and that's just a way of living. Like just like really, really like be open and be a human out there and make go for the connection, and everything else will come after that. And I agree with you on that. And you know, I really want to talk with you about something that made me really excited because that stacks on that when I met you, right? Um, you're also known as the cookie closer,
The
right?
pitch closing, yep.
And when I learned about cookie closing, I just like got like so excited about that I said like that was the most brilliant idea on this conference I heard of in a long time that I heard. So tell us a little bit because it stacks on that topic relationship, right? Tell us a little bit what is cookie closing, right? Just the
Yeah.
name is so good. I just like really I want to hear about that. Like get us in
Yeah.
the weeds.
Yeah, I'd love to share. So, So to kind of backtrack a little bit, and actually piggybacking on the conversation we just had about, setting yourself apart when it comes to sales and being the relationship people. And by being the relationship people, it doesn't become a transactional sale. And I know that we get deals that we used to not get because they like us, because they trust us. We give that warm, fuzzy feeling, and it's authentic. So we double close a lot of our properties. So I'll share with you how it came about. We double close a lot of our properties, and we're getting a 90, sometimes 120-day closing window. And I made a vow to myself that I would do everything I could to never lose a double close deal because the seller got cold feet during that time frame. So it's like these guys are already skeptical, and then they're coming in and we're putting their property on the market, and at any point in time they could just say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So I was like, what can we do to make sure that doesn't happen? And it was like, okay, well, we need to make them trust us. We need to make them love us. So I created an SOP, called it Cookies for Contracts. And I started sending a box of cookies with a handwritten letter to every single seller as the very last step of our new contract intake process. So my admin or my VA would send it out literally the same day we got the contract locked up. So, 2, 3 days later, they'd get this box. They're skeptical, they just signed a contract. They don't really know if it's legit. And then they get this box and it's got this handwritten letter in there, and it says something along the lines of like, hey, John, we know selling your land can be, a big hassle. And, we just want to let you know that we thank you for trusting us. And we're really grateful that we get to be the ones that help you move on from this land. And just know that when we say we're going to do something, we always follow through with it. Enjoy these, homemade cookies, small taste of the personal touch and thoughtfulness you'll expect from us at every step of the way. Something like that. And we would have our TC, our transaction coordinator's name on the bottom. So that's the person that they just met after they sign the contract. And they get this box and they would call Maria and they'd be like, oh my gosh, like you really outdid yourself here. You didn't have to do this. I feel so good about my decision to work with you guys. This is incredible. Like we're using that box as a springboard into a great relationship with the TC who's going to take this across the finish line. And it was working so well, like mind blowing. We're like, all right, cool. And we did that for 3, 4 months like that, just cookies for contracts. And then I started
So
thinking,
let me interrupt you for a moment.
yeah.
Why cookies? Explain us that. Like, I mean, I think it's sensational, right? Like to send something um, to somebody to establish this level of trust. But I know there's a story. Why is it cookies? Tell us that.
So one, I don't I never thought of when it comes to gift giving, I never thought of myself as a thoughtful person. And it's like, well, what is this person going to like? And it's just it's a challenge, right? Do you send wine? Do you send this? Do you send a card? Do you like, I don't know. With cookies, it felt like I mean, there's so many layers to it, but it feels like a universal, like really solid gesture. Like even if my seller doesn't like the cookies, do they have a partner? Do they have kids? Like, is there someone in their home that will, like their grandkids? It's like, so somebody in the house is going to love those cookies. Now, the other thing with that, my favorite part about the cookies is food is connection. So what it does is it drives a shared experience. They break those cookies in half. They share them with their wife. Now their wife's asking who sent these cookies. Now you become a topic of conversation in the household. Now there's multiple cookies in the box, so they get to do that a few nights in a row. You just became a part of their life. You by sending those cookies, you just made sure that they will never forget you. That's why cookies.
I love that. And, like when you talked about that on this conference and you told the same story, like when you talk about affirmations, right? Like everybody says, like when you do an affirmation, you should write it down, right? Because you activate all senses.
Mhm.
Like you smell the paper, right? Like you
Mhm.
smell you feel how the pen is touching the paper, right? Like you look at it, right? You hear it scratching, and same happens with the cookie, right? And who
Exactly.
doesn't
Yeah.
love cookies? That comes with it
Right.
too, right? Everybody loves
Right.
cookies, right? I don't
Yeah.
eat sweet things, but I love your cookies, right? Everybody loves a nice cookie with like chocolate chunk in it and a little bit salty, like, and I think that is like what it makes for me, like this what you develop there, like so strong, is like people are suddenly engaged with all senses with you,
Mhm.
right? And like you said, you become a part of the family, and that's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
take us a little bit of the evolution, because you didn't
Yeah.
stop there, right? Like you didn't stop there. You're not a guy that stops, Josh. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So cookies for contracts was working really well, and it still does. We still run that. But it was working so well that I started thinking, where else could we use this? We sent it to a couple of agents and stuff like that who had gone above and beyond with us. And then I thought, how can we make this make us money? Like sending them to our people after the contract kind of prevents us from losing money, but how can we use it to help us make money? And we started using it as a tool in the acquisitions process. Now, we're not sending boxes of cookies to cold leads, that we've never talked to.
Yeah,
We're treating it as like a niche marketing budget for the leads that, what I call inside the 5 yard line. So by
yeah,
this point, we've actually I've taken the cookie box and the letter, and we've actually made it a product and started a business out of it, creme de la creme, and started opening it up to investors. So it's a product made by investors for investors to help win deals. It's a deal converting tool. So what we started doing was sending it to leads or to seller leads in the acquisitions process who are what I call inside the 5 yard line. They're in scoring position, they're close. Maybe you were taking it down the field and something happened and they got scared or hesitant, or they may have dropped off in communication. They're best used when you're one impression away from getting the outcome you want. Maybe they're on the fence and you want to nudge them the right way, or maybe their wife is still a little skeptical, but they're all in. Or maybe they're waiting on their attorney to get back to them, and you're like, man, if I could just find a way to get him to, circumvent the attorney, this would be great. So we started sending them, and I thought, just back of the napkin math, I thought this would work out where I send out 10 boxes and I maybe get one deal. And I was like, 10 boxes, 40, $50 a box, one deal, that's 400, $500, one deal, that's, minimum of 25K. That's a great return. And, and I was like, this is great. I can't lose here. What we found out though, is it doesn't take 10 boxes to get a deal. With the leads we were sending them to, I hate to throw out numbers because I don't know what leads you're sending yours to, but we're finding that we're getting a deal out of one in every 4 to 5 boxes that we send. And again, keep in mind, we're strategically choosing the leads that are, inside the red zone. They're in scoring position, and it could go either way. So do the cookies get the deal? I don't know, but is it inexpensive deal insurance for 20, 40, $60,000 deals? Absolutely. And that's when things just started to go bananas, was when we started using it as a tool and created again, process-based. We created a weekly process around it called Cookie Closer Friday. So every Friday, what we do is we look at our pipeline and we see who should have signed a contract this week that didn't. Who did we send contracts to where they said, send it over, I'll sign it, and they never did? Who ghosted us? Like what's going on here? And we identify a few every single week and we send them out. So every Monday, so Creme de la Creme sends out cookie closures every Monday. We bake to order every Friday or every Sunday. Our order cutoff is Friday at 5 Eastern. So what we do is Friday during the day, we look at our pipeline, we identify who's getting a box, we curate very well written letters, which I believe is what actually drives them home. Like I believe the letters are what closes the deal for us, not the cookies. I think the cookies are secondary, which I could talk about more in a sec. But yeah, we started doing that, and I mean, it just made it increased our conversions. It made it so that there, with those deals that we're kind of uncertain about, it helped us close more of those deals, and we're using it. We're getting deals from there every week now because we've created a process and it's repeatable.
I love that. And you know when I heard about that, I said, okay, I was skeptical, but I love the idea, right? So we tested that, and I could get some numbers out of that. So we just bought like it's $40 a box, right? Like around that, like
Yeah.
plus minus.
So
Let's
yeah.
call.
So we've got it's between 40 and 50 bucks a box. Yeah. We got
Yeah.
it's
So
packages. Yeah.
and now run the numbers a little bit, right? Like when I look at full acquisition cost right now, and it leads, right? Like what does a lead cost me? Right, we're around $180, right? Like for that property type we're acquiring, it's like larger property, but we pay $180 to get somebody on the phone. So now pushing that one over to write a contract, I thought, okay, I spend another $40. That's not much, right? That's approximately 20% more. And what happened is, so I ordered this 12 box package. And we sent, I think so far 10 boxes from that. Because I said, my team, be careful with that, right? Like I was like, not all in directly. And I was like, but from that 10 people that were sellers that ghosted us, sellers that just like didn't do anything. We locked up 2 deals, right? And from that 10 people, another seven reached out. So like that was a 9 out of 10 that we got back in touch with the sellers where communications are right now that sign a contract because they have never seen something like that, right? And you send me a box of cookies and I ate I think on the event I ate like five, right? And the other five you sent me, I ate them in a day because they are like, you put a lot of, tell us a little bit more about that cookie, right? Like that cookie itself is like, you say it's a letter. I think it's a cookie, like 100%,
Yeah.
right? Like tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about like how much thought you put in that process of developing that cookie.
Yeah, so I'll start with the box. I'll share kind of the whole box experience. So I see people giving crumble cookies and Tiff's treats and stuff like that, and what they're doing is they're giving cookies. It's a shipping box, and inside the box is just cookies. And it's like I open the box and it's oh wow cookies. So like we're taking that to the extreme. So what we do is we have a very nice gloss black box and that goes inside of the brown shipping box. So they open the shipping box and already it's like, oh wow, a package inside of my shipping box, right? So it's now an experience for them. So they open that box and it's intended to be like you're opening up like a Hermes box or like a Coach or Chanel type, like a high-end experience. Everything about this cookie box is intended to reflect back on you as the sender, as like, holy shit, like he's the man. He sent that. Like, this is, I like you. I trust you. You're credible. Like, to elevate your status in their mind, because that's what's going to
Mhm.
make you the easy choice to do business with. So every ounce of intention that was put into that box is about you as the sender. It's what experience is it going to create for the recipient so that it reflects back on you as the sender. So there's nothing in that box that says, hey, you want to send a box to other people? Hey, go, buy a box for yourself. Like, we're not trying to sell the recipients at all. We don't want that. We want to make it all about you as the sender, the investor, that kind of thing. So they open the box, and the first thing they see is a card laying on top, and it has their name on it, and it's in an envelope. And they open that card, and it's a 5x7 card, handwritten, actually handwritten. It's not, like Rocket Print where it's like handwritten print, it's actually handwritten. And, you can get about 5 to 6 solid sentences on there. And if you really spend some time and thought on that card, you can hit all the emotional triggers. You can make them feel something. You can really sell yourself there. What I recommend with using that card is don't try to get the deal in the card. Try to get them to take the next step, get them on the phone, and then from there you can get the deal. So beneath the card is very clean, crisp black tissue paper, and it's sealed with our creme de la creme sticker. So they open that now. And under that is 5 massive cookies, and they're 5 ounce cookies, like they're like baseballs. They're huge, and so they get to that cookie, and the cookie you were talking about, the thought and intention that went into that cookie. So they're not just any cookie. Like I wanted, again, I created a product that I wanted to, that I needed to feel good about what I was sending to people. It needed to represent me well. So sending any cookie, low quality, maybe it tastes good, but the ingredients aren't very good. It didn't feel in alignment with me, and I didn't feel comfortable signing my name on that card and sending it to people that I wanted to do business with because it wasn't an accurate representation of me. So my business partner and I mean, we we fought, like we went back and forth about the ingredient quality for that cookie. And she was like, well, we're not going to have a good flavor cookie if we got to have it, like I wanted all organic and better for you ingredients, flat out. And to the point where it was a non-negotiable, and I would have walked away from the entire product and business if we couldn't reach terms on that. And I had to fight for it, because what happens is, trying to start a business, our margins aren't great on that, by the way. Like we're not, it's not like a get rich business. It's more of like a for fun, like a soul project kind of thing. But opting for all organic and better for you ingredients, like that cuts into your margins. When we went from standard chocolate to organic chocolate, it increased the price of a box by $2. Just the chocolate in those 5 cookies, it increased the price to make the box by $2. So there's so much intentionality in the ingredients, grass-fed butter, pasture-raised eggs, like everything. So again, I wanted it to reflect, like I wanted to feel good about the product we were putting out there. Um, so there's that, and the cookies they're thick, they're tall, they're intended to be shared. They're not little small cookies that someone has an individual experience with. We made them so big so that a lot of the people will break them in half and share them with someone. And there's a reason for that. If they can break it in half and share them with someone, you become a topic of conversation in the household, which, like I said before, they do that once, then they do it 5 nights in a row. I can't guarantee you get a call back. Because I don't know who you're sending them to. Do they know you? Do they not? Did you leave off on a bad note before that? Can't guarantee you get a call back, but what I can guarantee is that they'll never forget you. So that's the
And
cookie.
like you never know. Like we had this, it was two brothers owning that property, and it's not signed yet, but like we were negotiating with them back and forth for like 4 months. And like first it was the daughter who was the realtor, and we got her out of the way, and then we're negotiating. And he said, "But my brother, and he's living there." And so what happened is we sent a box, and then they called back and said like, they were both on the phone, said, "Hey, we're ready to talk now. We are chitting about over your cookies, and they're the most delicious thing like we ever ate, right?" I mean, that was somewhere like I don't know, in Michigan, I think, like in the woods, and they live there in the trailers, and like probably they don't have that good of a food experience on organic chocolate all the time, and it's like this like nice buttery taste, and it's like really amazing. And um, what I also like, yeah, I mean, you see, guys, like there's so much like details in that, like Josh and his team put in here to make that like really, really successful. But what I really want to highlight here too is the process. How do you get like cookies now? Like, do I call you, or do I write you up? Do I need to write my messages for that letters, and who do I need to
Yeah,
send that card to you, or how does that work?
for sure. So the process is, the very first step is getting you set up. Most investors get set up with a 10 pack. Someone who knows, and when I say a 10 pack, what I mean is this is like a credit based or token based system where you buy 10 boxes and you have now 10 credits, where you don't have to know who you're sending all 10 to right now. You don't have to worry about that. So you say, you get your 10 pack set up, and then what happens is we have an order form. It's an online order form, very short and sweet. It probably takes 2-3 minutes to fill out. And on that order form, you literally just have to put, who's this box going to, what's their address, and what do you want your letter to say. It's that simple. Like I said before, we're shipping 1 day a week right now on Mondays. So we bake everything to order, and we do the baking ourselves. Okay, we're not outsourcing this. We're not getting them from the bakery down the street. We do the baking ourselves. My business partner's mother is actually our baker and fulfillment team. So on Friday nights, after our order cutoff for Monday, she is handwriting every card. Every order that's going out on Monday, she's handwriting that card. That's how she spends her Friday night. On Saturday, she's getting ingredients. And on Sunday, she's doing the baking. We're in a commercial kitchen in Columbus, Ohio. So everything ships out of Columbus, Ohio. So what we found is Midwest, they get their boxes on Tuesdays. East Coast gets their boxes typically on Wednesdays. And even like Florida, typically Wednesdays, and then like Texas and this part of the country, Thursdays, and then far West Coast typically on Fridays. So that's kind of what the process looks like. It's really simple. It's all intended to be turnkey for the business owner, so that decide we're running the cookie closer system, and then you can just forget about it. You can put your acquisition managers on it. You can put your VAs on it. It's everything is set up so that you can set it and forget it. Because when I started sending out boxes myself, that was the question I asked. This is working so well. Why wasn't I doing this before? Oh yeah, it's a headache. I'm not thoughtful. It's the logistics. It's one more thing. So I thought if I can solve every single one of those for the business owner, we have a product that is undeniable. It's inexpensive deal insurance, and that's exactly what it is. Because what we're finding is, to send out, a $45-50 box to get a $50,000 deal, like you almost can't afford not to. And a lot of people see it as, oh, it's an expense, and I don't know. And it's like there are people that see it as an expense, and there are people that see it as a marketing budget and an investment with an insane ROI. Like I think I was texting you the other day. My good friend Ajay, he sent his first box, and he got a 6-figure deal, and his third box, another 6-figure deal. And my good friend Cole, his first batch of sends, I think he sent a few in his first week, and he inked a $250,000 subdivide deal. Like the ROI is there. Like if you want to stand out, the way I see it, your sellers are getting 8 letters in the mail a week. They're getting 5 calls a day, 5 texts a day. They're annoyed. By the time your letter or your call gets to them, you're just another one of those. And what happens is, if they're annoyed and they're frustrated and they're trying to dodge all these calls and texts because it's just another one of those, and you plop that box on their doorstep, boom, you're immediately in a different category. They're not even thinking of you on the same level as they're thinking about everybody else. So it's working. I mean, there was one week, I think I shared this at the event. We sent out 9 one week and we got 3 contracts out of it. We sent out 4 the next week and we got 1 contract out of it. So it's like we don't typically, get 3 out of 9. Like it's not, we don't do numbers like that all the time. But like that was like a 2-week span, and it was like, holy crap, we're onto something here.
And I think that goes along with that. Like we're in the numbers game, right? And we are working a funnel, right? The funnel is there is properties, we identify them, the funnel gets more narrow, what we want to do. We reach out to them, like again, like the funnel is more narrow. Some people respond more narrow. And then now you are like, you negotiate with them, you comp them, right? You send an offer, and now you're more down here, and you have like this few people left, and you spend this thousands of dollars to get there. And then you have like your 20 people left, 10
Mhm.
people left. So they give you maybe a $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 deal. And now we're so deep down in the funnel, like there's just like so less people you need to deal with. So every conversion you do now down the street will like ultimately reward you with a higher opportunity to make 10 thousands of dollars, right?
Mhm.
And this is what I really like about this. It's like I think even when you made mistakes in the relationship building, you give here the chance to be outstanding. And this is what you do so well, right? I mean, you said a lot of good things today, like do what you say. Like when you tell them you call back like tomorrow at 12, call them tomorrow at 12. Like the German in me is like really like on top of that, right? Like in dealing with Americans, that were the first thing, married to a Filipina, second thing, right? Like is well learned, it's not happening in the US. Like nobody's calling you back on time, and people, some they come at 2, right? They come at 3. I will always remember I was invited once to a friend's house on 4th of July. He said, I will be there at 1. When shall I come? He invited me, right? He said at 1. I was there at 15, knocked on the door, right? German like calls you when you're there 101, right? Like the German calls you like when you're late, like, hey, you're late. Like, where are you? Are you okay? Did you have an accident? Oh, no, I just wanted to check in. Oh, you're 2 minutes late. Yeah, that's okay. We can forgive you that. But I showed up at my friend's house, right? And I know he has this massive dog, right? He has like it's a mastiff or something like that, like a 150 pound dog, right? That's like, okay, like what do you do? Like stand in the door, wait 10 minutes, 15 minutes, try to call him, like nobody. But I heard voices inside. So I entered the house, American house. We stand in the living room. Went in the kitchen where his wife was like her mother and like her sister and her sister, and like baby was there, and this dog was there, right? And like suddenly you see him like my friend like get it, because everybody was staring at me. A 6'8" German like enters the kitchen, right? And standing there because they were probably not expecting me on that time, right? But he had said one, and suddenly my friend sprinted out out of the bathroom in his robe, grabbing that dog who was on the way to attack me, right? And said, "Man, why are you so early?" I said, "Bro, it's like 1:15, right? Like you tell me to be here at 1." I said, "I was not expecting you before too." But just like was being on time, you're like so unexpected. That taught me so much about psychology here, right? Um, but this gives a lot of trust that you call them, and some people will be surprised. This is what we see in our organization. People is, "Oh, you said you called at 12. Oh, sorry, I'm not ready yet." Like, "Hey, when are you ready?" "I call it back at 5." "Yeah, okay." I was not expecting your call. So this is the first thing. But the second thing, you build so much trust with that. And now you lose them somewhere in the process. And what you call it deal insurance. And I like that term very, very much because you pay a little policy, right, that will cover you in that moment,
Yeah.
where you mostly need it, right? And
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Our results are outstanding. I know your customers have like good results. Like Ajay Sharma, a good friend of us, is using you, right? I know you had a conversation with my very good friend Jerry Green the other day, and I talked with him before our call. That was why I was a little bit late in here. And I said, I have Josh. He loved like the still like this cookie idea is like in his head and spinning, right? So how can people get in touch with you, Josh? Like how do we get some cookies out there into the world, right?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I think the easiest way to get in touch with me is just to reach out to me directly. So if you're in the Facebook community right now and you see this, you can just click my name, send me a message, and just message Cookie Closer, and I'll know exactly what you're talking about. And I'm on Instagram as well. It's Josh Pierce, Pierce.rei. So very simple there. And the big thing is, if you reach out with Cookie Closer, we can talk about it. We can see if it makes sense. I ain't gonna sell you. At the end of the day, that the people that know the people that want to do it are gonna do it, and the people that aren't are gonna lose deals to the people that are, and it's like, it just is. So I'm not gonna sell you. We can hop on a call, we can talk about it. If it feels good, great. If it doesn't, that's totally fine too. But yeah, just message me with the word Cookie Closer and we can talk about it. It's very simple. But what the process looks like is, if you want to do it, we just get you set up with a 10 pack. We do have a 24 pack as well, where where the boxes get a little bit cheaper. But getting started right away, I don't even like to, mention the 24 pack because I want to make sure it feels good for you first. So start with 10. If you send out your 10 and you're like, wow, this is working for us. If we've got a couple deals out of it, great. I know we'll be back for the 24 or whatever, but yeah, so that's what the process looks like there. It's very simple, not salesy. At the end of the day, this is just a soul project for me, and just a way for me to kind of have fun and put something that is working very well for me out into the world, and hopefully it helps you get some deals too. And you mentioned the deal insurance thing real quick. I want to touch on that. So it's like, I think of like the flight insurance, right? You're booking your $300 flight, and it's like, do you want to pay $19 to insure this flight? And it can be so easy just to click yes, right? Like, oh, what if something happens last minute? So you would spend $19 to insure a $300 flight ticket. Would you spend $50 to insure a $50,000 deal? Because that's how the investors that are running this system, like actually running the system, not just like I sent one and we'll see how it goes, but like the investors that are plugging this into their process and are rinse and repeating each week, that's how they see it, is like, wow, I can spend $50 to insure that $50,000 deal. And what's going to happen is I'm going to roll the dice, and more times than if I wasn't doing it, I will get the deal. So yeah, it's working really well, and it feels really good to share this with the community and with the world.
I love it, man. I really, really love it. I mean, we're almost on the top of the hour. We don't have too much people in Zoom. So if you're on Facebook, like join our Zoom link. I think it's tagged under the video. I would first of all thank you for being here, Josh. That was like a really entertaining hour. We talked a lot about food and how you can utilize it to get in your sellers' minds, right? And to finally sign contracts and make six-figure deals with that.
Mhm.
Are there any questions you have to him? I want to open it up to Q&A.
Yeah, and while people are asking any questions too, there's one thing that's weighing on me that I just wanted to share. So at the beginning of this conversation, Robin asked, what is it that you kind of do differently, or how do you set yourself apart? And I said, hey, We just have to be different. We have to be better, right? We're the relationship people. So, and from the beginning, from discovery and the offer call, like we're positioning ourselves as, hey, we're different. We're these relationship people. We're so much more than this transactional company. And when they receive that, so the cookie box right there, it's another drop, it's another piece of evidence that supports that. Like our whole angle in getting deals is we're the relationship people. We're not like everybody else. So when we send something like that, after we've been telling them that and sharing that, it's like, oh, wow, I see now that you're relationship people. I see now that you're not like everybody else. So it's like, it's kind of, it kind of just brings it full circle. It's like, wow, you've been telling us that, but now I see that. I've experienced that. And it was weighing on me to share that. It's this congruency all the way through our process.
I love that. And that's what it is. This how I learned to know you. We see you are on fire about that too, right? I'm like on
Good.
fire about that too. So whenever you have the next deals, like think about your sellers. Maybe you'll find 10 in your list that ghosted you and you really love the deal. Just hit Josh up. Just try
Yeah.
it. It's like it will do some magic. You will sign like some contracts probably. So I really love that.
Yeah.
Guys, are there any questions you have toward this like good looking guy here? No. Nothing today. That was so crystal clear, right? I love
And
this.
if anybody watches after the fact, I always enjoy, like, I'm an open book. And if anybody DMs me and they're like, hey, you mentioned that thing, and I had a quick question about that, like, let me know. Like, hit me up anytime. We don't have to talk about cookies. We don't have to talk about closing deals. Like, if you want to talk systems, automations, delegating, any of it, I'm always down for a chat. So just
I love that. Cool. Guys, then thank you so much, Josh, for spending one hour here. And thank you so much for hopping on. And yeah, get some cookies out there in the world. We use it. I know a bunch of other people that use it and love it. Creme de la Crump on Instagram, right? Like
Yep.
it's and I think
Creme
it's
de la crumb.
cremdelacrump.com,
Yeah, I'm gonna
right?
drop in the
And
chat. Creme de la
drop it
crumb
in the
pro.
chat here, right? And with that said, have a great day and talk to you soon, guys.
Awesome. Thank you all very much.
Cool.
Have a wonderful
Take
night.
that down here. This is his Instagram accounts. It's worth it. Bye, guys.